You called us the 10 boys?
Yeah, you said congrats,
Nice.
10 boys.
Nice. There's 10 boys.
We got too horny, and that's why.
I don't want him to come. Jake, how horny does this make you?
Very horny.
It's one big joke, believe me. Minnesota sports in all sorts. You see, they know it's never gonna get easy. You see, they know it's Minnesota, constant pain and misery.
And I'm a part of Al Qaeda.
It's 10K TV. It's one big joke, believe me. Minnesota sports. In all sorts.
Dude, he could turn Daniel Jones into Brett Favre.
Minus the penis pics.
Yeah. You can legally smoke crack.
What is a DVOA?
I went dicks, vaginas, or ass.
I think that's what it is.
Don't know much except to yell.
All right, folks, very special edition of 10K TV, joined here by a first-timer on the show. We have Mike Welch, tournament director of the 3M Open, maybe the most official person to ever join the program, one of the most professional people to ever join the program, but it's a very big week for Mike in the golf tournament. Mike, thank you so much. I imagine right now you're essentially running around like a chicken with your head cut off here as it's the Monday of the tournament, but how are you doing?
You know, that'd be accurate. It was a crazy day. And by the way, let me just quickly, just attest to the most professional person ever on this. I know myself, that can't be true. We started off with thunderstorms this morning, so we had to push back the Monday Pro-Am by an hour, which, is never great, but it's beautiful out now. 3M did a private Pro-Am over at the Royal Golf Club, our sister course. So I went out there because I got 22 celebrities to do for 3Mers and their customers. So, Monday starts and it's not in like a lamb, it's in like a lion. And it's been crazy thus far, but we're having a blast, man. And we're so excited for the doors to open tomorrow to the general public.
Yeah. I did the Champions for the Children golf tournament last Monday. I was one of the celebrities because a guy had a kid and couldn't show up. So if you need a late minute scratch or last minute alternate, I'll drop everything I'm doing, literally anything I will drop to play in that. But really quick, I know the big motto this year of the golf tournament is the Northern Swing, and when you guys described that to us at Media Day, I thought it was pretty sweet. But I'd love for the people to hear your definition of it.
Yeah, we're in our 7th year. We've always had the sort of the golf that matters mantra, right? Because at the heart of it, as you know, Jack, like this is about giving back to nonprofit organizations. We've been so fortunate to donate $8.5 million over the first 6 years of the tournament. And that will always be sort of like the ethos of the 3M Open. But, people always ask me, how does the 3M Open become the Waste Management Phoenix Open of the North? And I'm like, hey, like let's crawl before we walk, right?
Yeah.
Like that, I don't know if you've ever been, but that thing is like just on its own island, right? So we say like we want to do something incremental every year to get this thing bigger and better. And as we thought about it, like Minnesotans love owning stuff. Like, it's that old adage, like you're one of us, it's one of our own, all of that. So we just decided to come up with something, and we thought about, well, the California and the Arizona tournaments have the West Coast swing. Obviously, all the tournaments in Florida have the Florida swing. We're the northernmost tournament on the PGA Tour schedule. We're further north than the RBC Canadian Open. We're Upper Midwest only tournament. Let's do something crazy and call it the Northern Swing, and let's see if the John Deere and others want to follow suit. The Rocket Classic out in Detroit. So we just decided to start it. It's not like an official moniker with the PGA Tour or anything, but I think what it did was had us think about some really unique content. I don't know if you've seen any of it, but we went up to northern Minnesota and chopped down a tree to create a golf club. We went out on Lake Minnetonka and tried to hit with a pitching wedge off of the water on a paddleboard. Just stuff that is innate to Minnesota, and try to make it within the context of a PGA Tour golf tournament. So like any really good marketing campaign, and I think of, this is Twins territory or Wolves back, right? Stuff like that. I think it takes a little bit, but we're really encouraged about what the first year has done under the Northern Swing.
Yeah. Did you notice I was the guy on the paddleboard?
I did.
I
knew. Yeah.
That was so brutal. I'm surprised. Like standing on a paddleboard is hard enough, but bringing a golf ball on it was a terrible idea.
And you hit it.
I did it. I did hit it as I was falling in the water. Didn't drop my wedge in the water, which would have been a real tough scene if my 54 degree was at the bottom of Lake Minnetonka. But I think it's great. And honestly, as someone who's been to the Waste Management, I'm kind of glad it's not that, only because I do enjoy actually watching the golf too, rather than just slugging beers, because there's so many people that show up to that tournament. It's impossible to see anything. So that's kind of my counter argument to people who say, you know, if it's not the Waste Management. But so like what was your path to becoming the director of this tournament? Because, you know, I had been going to this tournament since it was the Champions Tour, you know, forever, I think since 93. And I was pretty psyched when it became, you know, a PGA Tour event. But how did you get to be the guy for the, you know, for the tournament?
I mean, same. Like, you know, I moved here from Milwaukee in 2006 when I joined the Minnesota Timberwolves for 13 years. And I came, and I've lived in Blaine my entire time up here. So like I came when it was the 3M Championship, and then when it became the 3M Open in 2019, I had known a couple of the people that were selling for this tournament. They're still here today, but you know, they said come on over and check it out. And so I went on Thursday, and I walked in, and I was like, whoa, this is not what I remember. Like it was the big leagues. It was really cool. Sponsor activation, awesome food and beverage. Lots of fans. You had to pay to get in, right? So I was like, this is really cool. And so they called me about 3 weeks after the tournament ended and said that they were looking for a tournament director with more of sort of the revenue mindset, you know, try to increase the revenue. And that was been sort of my career at the Minnesota Timberwolves, being in corporate partnerships and then ultimately leading the department for a number of years. And for me, just transparently on a personal level, at the time I had 4 boys that were between the ages of 7 and 13. I coached them in basketball and baseball. And so like I'd have to leave Mayo Clinic Square at 4:17 p.m. to get home by 5:02, scarf down dinner, get out the door to coach. And, you know, it just became quite a bit. So from a personal standpoint, that was really appealing to me. And then, you know, your words, be the guy, like that was from a professional standpoint, I think the next step for me. And, you know, I didn't anticipate taking this job. And then 4 months later, a worldwide pandemic hitting, where our first tournament that I was ever a part of, we had no fans, but in honesty, it was quite a blessing to be able to learn the ropes of how a PGA Tour tournament operated without having to worry about fans and sponsors and all of that. So that was really great for us. And then the next year, you know, this other little golf league started up that we lost some of our players to. And so, you know, the first 2 years right out of the gate was a little bit of a challenge. But I think we've adapted along with the PGA Tour, who has done some great things to, you know, now make what in 2025, Jack, is our strongest field we've ever had at the PGA Tour tournament, including 2019, when, you know, it was loaded, right? So like, you know, we think that we're building something here each and every year. And this year, it's kind of come to a culmination around our strength of field. And when fans come out, they're really going to see just an incredible field.
Yeah, no, I agree that the field's pretty incredible. I mean, we have names like Max Homa, Ricky Fowler. There's a whole laundry list of big names. And I was kind of going to ask you, like, what your true opinion is on our weekend, because I suppose, you know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse in terms of you're following up the Open. So, you know, if a big name has a big week there and they're not competing for playoff points, they probably will not show up. But vice versa, if there's a guy who's on the bubble of the playoffs who, you know, really needs to show up week in and week out, he can't afford to take another week off. Like, do you think we have an optimal weekend, or is it a bit challenging following a major?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's optimal, but like to your point, Adam Scott, you know, commits on Friday because he needs the points, right? He's got 2 tournaments left to try to get into the playoffs. So I think I referenced it earlier. I think what the tour has done since the advent of LIV to increase the competition, shrink the playoffs down to top 70, shrink the cards, keeping your card from 125 down to 100. You know, and you get guys like Sahith Theegala who need to play well in order to keep their card. Think about that. Yeah. How talented that guy is. But he had a year of injury, and now look what's happening. You know, our date is challenging. It's hard to get golfers here from the Open Championship. And to your point, if they're in the top 25 of the FedEx Cup standings, do they really need to play us? Probably not, right? So, like, that's why you don't see Scotty here. You don't see Rory. You don't see Xander, although we did have deep discussions with Xander about him potentially coming here, and you know, he decided not to. I think that only speaks to what we're building here, right? I think when players come here, Jack, they know that they're going to get treated incredibly well. Their caddies are going to get treated the best of any event. Their families are going to have an unbelievable time. We have events for families and kids all over the place. So I think that's starting to build a little bit. Ideally, we're not the weekend after the Open Championship or any other major. Ideally, I always thought that first week in June would be the greatest weekend because school has just let out. People are not going off to their cabins yet, which, by the way, is our biggest competition. It's not other sports or events. It's people leaving to go to those darn cabins. But at the same time, you think about that. If you talk about the build, 11, 12 weeks prior, now we're talking about middle of March. And, some winters, man, we can't get in the ground in the middle of March. So there's only a finite window we can have a tournament here. And fortunately, unfortunately, it takes 3 months to build this thing. And so we probably are looking at the month of July. Now, we had the 4th of July the first year. That's not great for anybody, right? Then the week before the Open Championship is the Genesis Scottish Open. That's not changing yet. So you're now talking about the week after the 4th of July. Is that better? Maybe, and that's part of the rotation that we're talking about. I like having it the same weekend every year instead of what the Rocket is doing, just quite honestly, where it's changing dates because you don't really know. But if you have that staple that it's after the Open Championship and we can continue to get fields like this, is that really a bad thing? Don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. What I tell people is if they want to see their favorite golfer play in the 3M Open, they should almost root against them the rest of the year, which is like, that's tongue in cheek, but it is true because like a guy like Max Homa, who's having a rough year, or like you mentioned, Thigala, who's fighting for his card, like they're going to show up this weekend and they're really going to play their heart out and it's fun. Like good example, Justin Thomas a couple of years ago, when he was down in the dumps, it was fun to watch him come out and battle. So, more of a interesting question. Are you pumped to see that this can change, that it's not going to be highs in the 90s this year? Because I always feel like, too, this tournament is the hottest weekend of the year. And when I saw that it was like highs of 85, I'm knocking on wood as I'm saying this, Mike, because I know things can change. But it looks like we're actually going to get a pretty good weather weekend where, we're not going to risk passing out every day of the tournament.
You're going to laugh at me, but I'm kind of a weather geek. There's this big running joke around the office. I have like 3 weather apps that I pay for, which just shows you kind of a nerd I am.
Yeah. 3
this
of them.
Year,
and you pay for all 3? Those are like subscriptions?
Well, a one-time fee. Not a
okay.
I'm not that crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not that
you're
crazy.
doing it efficiently.
This year was the first year that I refused to look at the weather. I looked at the weather for the first time yesterday morning for the first time. I had heard all the scuttlebutt out in the office, but I looked for the first time because you know what I kept saying, like, what, I can't control it. Nobody controls. There's one person that controls the damn weather, and it ain't me. And so, like, yes, I am super excited to see that the weather temperature looks great. Now it looks like there's some rain potentially coming in. I don't mind rain. It's just when the storms hit and lightning and we got to evacuate, that throws off a couple things. It potentially throws off our concert on Saturday night, which a lot of things got to happen for us to get that thing loaded in because Lee Bryce is coming from Iowa the night before. So there's just some behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's been hot here, dude, the last 3 years. Like, yeah. I mean, I'll never forget that Thursday that was like 96 with a heat index of 104. And I'm looking around on the Stilly Party Deck. It was the first year of the Stilly Party Deck. And I'm like, is this thing going to flop? But I remembered it was 104 degrees. And then the next day when it was nice, it was packed. So I was like, okay, it really is about the weather.
Yeah, I mean, it could be snowing, and you'll still see me on that deck every single day. I'm not even kidding about that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're notwithstanding, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
We're just putting the team on our back to keep that thing alive every day. But I think what a lot of people are wondering, just as a tournament director, is like, what kind of fires are you putting out, every day of the tournament? I mean, I know I always see you cruising around on your cart and whatnot, but is it hectic, or does a lot of the work come before the tournament? Like what's your almost day to day, Thursday through Sunday?
Yes, there's so much work before the tournament, and yes, it's always hectic. I mean, we were just laughing about it this morning. Like last night, so advanced week was last week. There's 2 big weeks here, advanced week and tournament week. Advanced week was last week. We sat around last night. It's like 9:30, and I'm like, man, I feel great. Like, I feel like we're in a really good spot. Come in this morning, first thing, 7:30. There's storms coming through about 9:30. Well, our Pro-Am registration starts at 9:30, so we got to move that back. Then, a number of things around we're loading in the concert trailer, but because it's so wet, it can't get up that hill. So there's just so many things that happen on a day-to-day basis that you just can't plan for, but it's really around the staff that's here and our 1,645 volunteers that have done this year over year, that have such a good idea and knowledge and deep base of what goes on here that you just truly lean on. I think like any event or any good organization, you're only as strong as how strong the people are. And we're fortunate to have awesome employee base and awesome volunteer base. But, I would say that the crux of my day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's the 3 busiest days by far, because it's pro-ams, it's sponsor initiatives. It's when we have all of our athletes and celebrities here for Golf for All Day tomorrow. A number of the content pieces we're trying to get that you guys have been a great part of, just stuff like that just, we have to get that out, because once competition starts on Thursday, as you know, the tour takes over and they kind of run it. And then at that time, we're going to see all the sponsors, thanking them, going up to the fans, thanking them, making sure all the activations are working out just fine, making sure operationally things are going okay. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we don't take our breath, but it's not as busy as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I do make it a point, this is the first time I did this last year on Thursday, to go out to holes 3, 4, and 7, that little corner out there, to just sit in my cart and watch golf for 30 minutes. Because it's really important to just remind yourself why you do this. And so it was really cool to just go out there and see that. And I saw Gary Woodland come through and a few others. And, it just makes you appreciate, by the way, how good these damn guys are. It's just so frustrating to see them hit the ball like that, because my God, why can't we all do that? So it was cool to take part and do that. And I'm hopeful that I get to do that on Thursday again this year.
Yeah, as someone who's played the course a few times, I hate watching them play it, because they make, 17T, for example, they're playing 30 yards behind us up that hill. They're putting it to 5 feet. I'm teeing off from the member tee, and I can barely even get it on the green, and I'm happy with being on the green. It's a bad look. Kind of along those lines, it's a good transition. I know you probably can't officially say yes to this, but are you rooting for certain things during the tournament? Obviously there's winners who would be a really big splash if they won and would probably draw more attention to the tournament. Are you guys hoping for drama, a good finish? In terms of the golf itself, what are you guys rooting for?
Yeah.
Just for the value of the tournament, right?
For sure. I don't think it's any secret, Jack, that if our, Saturday night round 3 leaderboard, when round 3 closes and we're getting ready for the Lee Bryce concert, if Max Homa, Wyndham Clark, and Tony Finau were 1, 2, 3, that would be pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Right? I think that on Sunday, this place would be absolutely packed. Right. Mm-hmm. I'll also tell you that, when Lee Hodges wins our tournament, or Jonathan Vegas last year, or, you had a story like Max Grazerman last year who almost won it, and you get a chance to know these people. Chris Goddard 3 years ago, we gave him a sponsor exemption, and he was like, man, I'm so appreciative. If you need me for anything, please let me know. Last year during this time, you probably don't remember, we had that whole CrowdStrike internet snafu with all the flights. We had 12 of our 26 players for the Monday Pro-Am still grounded on Sunday night, so we didn't have them. Chris Goddard was in the air that morning on Monday at 9:30 a.m. for an 11:15 tee time that somebody couldn't show. He landed at 10 o'clock, drove up here, got on the course 11:15, and played 5 hours with a group that he didn't know he was going to play. So it's hard not to root for guys like that actually come to the tournament, now have found some success, right? Wins the Scottish Open, takes 3rd last week, is on a heater, is a great dude, loves this golf course, loves this tournament, and personally, you don't root for any one player, but you root for stories, and a story like that is just really cool. And so, I think players are popular for a reason, right? If you are a Netflix full swing consumer, you're going to know who these guys are, right? You're going to know Finau, and you're going to know Homa, and you're going to know Joel Damon, who's the best dude ever, and root for them. And I get it, but this 156 person field is so deep, and these guys are so good that a Chris Goddard or something like that, where they're nobody 3 years ago and now they're somebody, that's going to happen. I just was out there. I spent about an hour to go say hello and thank you to the 5 sponsor exemptions, the young guns that we brought aboard this year. And they're all out there playing in the Monday Pro-Am with sponsors. And I just spent 5 minutes with each to tell them thanks. What do they need from us? Is there anything that, they can do for us while they're here, or vice versa? Because you had no idea what, Michael Lasasso, Brendan Valdez, David Ford, Preston Stout, all these guys, what they're going to be in 3 years. We
Yeah.
just don't know.
Yeah. Is that one of those players calling you right now?
I don't know. It might be. Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah. No, that's Tiger Woods telling you he's in this week. Let's just run it back.
How ironic it'll be, by the way, if he starts playing the Champions Tour next year when he's 50 and, we don't have a Champions Tour event anymore.
That right? Actually, that's a good point. That would suck. Although I do remember the year we had Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, I think it was Lee Trevino and Gary Player playing in the same scramble. That was pretty sweet. Gary Player actually showed me how he hits bunker shots. I stuck around. I was a lot younger, obviously. I stuck around on one of the holes, and he just was hitting bunker shots because he knew he was going to have to wait. And he taught me how he hits out of sand. So still use it to this day. Yeah.
Do you think that you and I combined could do more push-ups than Gary Player right now? I don't think we could.
How many push-ups can you do? Because I'm not contributing much to that total, if I'm being honest with you.
I honestly can't remember the last time I did a push-up on purpose, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's a freak of nature. How old is he? Like,
I think he's 90, 91.
Yeah, and that guy is like posting fitness videos on it. He's more fit than me, and he's 4 times my age. So to answer your question,
him and Greg Norman, kind.
Yeah. Oh gosh. All right. I know you're probably limited on time, but just the last question I have for you is what's been your favorite moment since being involved in this of the tournament? There's a lot that come to my mind.
Yeah.
But what is like one of those moments in this tournament's history that makes you go, wow, that was pretty freaking sweet?
I have 2, and one of them is I don't say it's cheating, but it's a general one. We talked a little bit in the past about the charitable aspect for this, right? I mean, like, anytime we can go to an organization and hand a check over, whether it's $20,000 or whether it's $200,000, and do a volunteer effort at that charity, like, it just centers you and remembers why we do this. Because at the root of it, we've given over $8.5 million in the first 6 years of this tournament. Like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That's a ton of money to 20 awesome charities. And that's really awesome. And that's kind of why we do this. On a fun one, I don't know if you remember, I think 4 years ago, we started the Compass Challenge. It was sponsored by 3M Consumer. The first year we brought in like Larry Fitzgerald, Adam Thielen, Charles Barkley. So Kyle Rudolph, buddy of ours, gets Charles involved, says, give Charles, he says he's going to play. I called Charles about a week before we have this event on Wednesday night. So I call him a Wednesday or 4, doesn't answer, leaves a message. I leave a message, say, hey, Chuck. I called him Chuck, which is probably a little assumptive, but I figured we were good.
No, I think you guys are boys if you call him Chuck. That's the rule.
Yeah, that's maybe why this story ends like it does. And so I said, hey, Mike Welch, looks like you're going to come here in a week. Just want to provide you details. Please call me back. Shoot me a text. Would love to chat with you. 3 days, crickets. Nothing comes back. I'm like, okay. So now it's Sunday. I'm starting to get nervous. I have a flight arranged on Tuesday, or at least the possibility of one. He doesn't. I call, text, no answer. Finally get a text at 10:30 at night on Sunday night. He says, send me an email. And like, I'm not kidding. The email address is like fatboy@Warner Brothers Entertainment, something like that. And it was legit because he emailed me back right away and said, here's what I need. And he's like, and I said, great, I can provide a car for you. Do you want a car from the airport? He goes, that'd be great. I get in at 8. And I said, okay, awesome. I get in at 8 on Tuesday. His tea time is Wednesday at 12:45 p.m. So Tuesday, 8 o'clock, I'm like, great, I'll have a car for you. At 9:30 a.m., I get a call from Lowe's Hotel saying, hey, Mike, Mr. Barkley is here. He's not very happy. There was no car for him. I go, I have a car waiting for him at 8 p.m. tonight when he arrives. He goes, he's at Lowe's Hotel. So he got in at 8 a.m. and not 8 p.m., even though his tea time wasn't until 12:35 the next day. So I send my wife, my poor wife, down to downtown Minneapolis with a box of $250 cigars with a note that she wrote that says, Charles, I'm so sorry. Please enjoy these. Mike will be in touch. 3M Open team. I call, I text, I email, no response. It's Tuesday night, 10:30 at night. And I'm like, Chuck, as of right now, I don't think you're coming. Can you just let me know? Did you get on a plane and go back to Arizona? And he goes, send a car for me at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. I'm like, yes. So I
Yeah.
sent a car. I sent 2 cars actually. I sent 2
Just in
cars.
case the first didn't
Just
show
in
up.
case. Just in case.
Smart.
And picks up Charles. He drives him to Twin Cities, TPC Twin Cities. Arrives at 11:05. He texts me when he arrives. The driver. Car pulls up. I get down on one knee. Charles comes out. I go, Charles, I am so sorry. He goes, man, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all good. I'm like, you could have told me that.
Yeah, that would have
ago.
been really
Like,
nice if you would have given me an
yeah.
update there on your feelings.
He goes right to the first tee. He signs every single autograph. He plays that Compass Challenge event that night. Absolutely holds court. Goes to Lowe's Hotel. Spends 3 hours in the bar with 3M and their customers. Pays for the entire tab.
Damn.
$1,850 for everybody's drinks that night. Coolest thing that happened that year.
That's really cool because I went to the Compass Challenge I think 2 years ago, but I got to walk a hole with Jake Owen, which was pretty sweet. Got to chat with
Yep.
him a little bit. Very good golfer, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people know that,
Really
but
good.
I know he plays in that ACC every year. But
Yep.
Charles Barkley, that's cool. Smart by sending 2 cars as well, just in case the first one didn't
Right.
make it or something. But well, Mike, honestly, I appreciate you joining us. This was really fun, and I like I said, I don't know how many people have heard from like the tournament director on what it's like. Us as fans, we just show up to these things and we watch them on TV, and I don't know how many people have appreciation for the work that goes in behind the scenes. So you and your team do such an amazing job throwing this tournament, and for anyone listening, watching, I just encourage you to if you're around this weekend, if you're not up at your cabin, to stop by the 3M Open for a day, because I don't even think you have to be a golf fan to enjoy it. I brought friends who have never even watched golf, played golf, that have a blast there. So, it's so much more than just a tournament. But, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. And best of luck running around this week. I'm sure I'll see you. I'll try not to bug you too much. But I'm just, looking forward to a fun week as always.
Yeah, likewise, man. Appreciate you guys and your partnership we do with you. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. All right. Thanks, Mike, so much, man. We'll keep doing our part to get people there.
I appreciate you. We'll see you this week.
All right, sounds good. See you in a couple
See you
days.
guys.